feet out wider and let your knees drop in. So we're starting in constructive rest. This is Restore 60. We have those extra 15 minutes, which is great. And let's consider the whole body, right? It's something that I often say in this class. Consider your whole body. So are your hands relaxed? Did you even notice that you have hands? So if they're not in a spot that's comfortable, maybe adjust. If your clothes are awkward, maybe adjust. If it doesn't feel nice on your back, which it should in some capacity, or maybe nothing at all, nice or nothing, then adjust. You could put a block between your knees. You could walk your feet closer so that the knees actually touch. They don't have to if they're kind of floating. It's just about comfort here. And then it's about our breath and trying to draw our awareness into this present moment. So if you find yourself getting pulled into the future, or maybe dragged into the past, there's nothing wrong with that. It's completely natural. Well, for now, we're just going to try to keep centering ourselves into the present moment. So maybe labeling something on your body and noticing how it feels, counting your breath. Start to draw your awareness to your breath and just simply notice it. Does it feel easy? Does it feel challenging? Is it fast? Is it slow? We'll take 6 more deep breaths. And if they aren't already, let's go ahead and take our arms out to a T with our palms facing up. So if your balls or blocks are in the way, just gently move them a little bit. And then slowly start to separate your knees. You can keep your feet as wide as they are. You can walk them closer or farther apart. We're just going to gently rock our thighs side to side. Just be gentle with yourself. So some people feel a little stiff after that. Some people feel really loose. You could have your feet stay flat the whole time and flush. You could rock from edge of your foot to edge of your foot. Notice if one side feels easier or more sort of open than the other side. And just notice what you feel, like where things are pulling, where things feel tight. Feel free to linger. You could just kind of drop to one side and try to relax and breathe a little bit. Otherwise, maybe just keep sort of lifting slowly and checking out the other side slowly with your breath. Great. Even out from side to side, take your time. And we'll be meeting with our knees up, feet flat. And then slide one leg out the length of your mat, followed by the other. Reach one arm over your head, followed by the other. Open your hands, make a fist, roll around into your wrist, point and flex through the ankles and fan out your toes, scrunch them up, just stretching through those side bodies. Great, and then find a little bit of hugging in at the navel, a little pulling in as you draw one knee into your chest. Let's do the right one, just so I don't mess up the cues too much. You could grab onto that knee or shin. You could grab behind if that feels more available. You also don't have to do either. We're just going to give a little compression to that front right hip flexor. Okay, take one more deep breath in, deep breath out. All right, keep that knee in, squeeze your belly again, and then bend the left knee to draw the left foot in. Foot is going to be flat. We'll release the right leg if we're holding on to it. Hands drop wherever. Lift that right leg up to the sky, point and flex, and roll around into your ankle. Fan out your toes, scrunch them. Try to hit every single range of motion you could think of here. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to close your eyes. Feel free to look and watch, though, if you'd like to maybe check out. Sometimes visually I'm a learner and I like to look. All right, we're going to pause in what's called flexion, dorsiflexion of the ankle. So it's like you're trying to stand on the ceiling. So you might be pushing up a little bit more actively through the heel. You're going to keep the foot kind of as it is, but you're going to rock the pinky edge of your foot up and the big toe edge of your foot in and down. If you need to look at me, feel free. But foot is heels pushing up, and we're trying to draw that pinky edge so you're lengthening through that lateral side of your outer ankle. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Great. Take one more big inhale. Exhale, kind of come out of that, bend the knee, maybe shake it out a little bit. So if you have sciatica stuff, usually if it heads that far down your leg, it terminates somewhere around the peroneals or the outer ankle. So it might be helpful. Great. We're just going to cross that right heel, ankle, shin onto the left knee or thigh. My left foot was out a little too wide, so I walked a little bit more center. Stay here or feel free to lift your left foot up. If you do, no need to be super active here. So a lot of times in maybe a yang class, you're flexing your foot and lifting your left shin. Relax your left foot, let your left heel drop into your butt. Consider your whole body. Try to relax your face, let the back of your head and scalp be relaxed. Soften there. We'll take 3 more deep breaths. Great, one more big breath in and a big breath out. Great, slowly unbind, unwind. You can take your feet down and windshield wiper. You can take both legs up to the sky and find some movement. You can take happy baby for a second. Don't overthink it. Great, just to draw back second foot over knee and that sort of original sort of stretch position. So slowly drawing your legs down, stretching them out, reaching one arm overhead, followed by the other. Point and flex and reach through toes, then heel, maybe one leg and then the other, your hands, your fingers. Okay, take one more big breath in, stretching. As you exhale, navel to spine a little bit. Let's start to bend the left knee, drag the foot in, and then hug it into your chest. Again, whether you grab on is up to you, but try not to work too hard on the grip if you are. Compressing gently or maybe dramatically on that left hip flexor. See if this feels about the same. Some people feel a pinch when compressing it. So did you feel one on one side or not the other? Typically asymmetrical. Right, keep that left leg in, whether you're grabbing onto it or not. Squeeze your belly a little bit and then drag that right leg in. Bend your knee, put your foot down. Release your left leg. Take your hands where you'd like and reach that left leg up to the sky. Flex and point. Again, first about 6 breaths or so, we're just trying to find every range of motion. Don't overthink it though. See what feels easy, see what feels awkward. Try to keep breathing. And then we'll come into that more flex position, dorsal flexion, like you're trying to stand on the ceiling. That alone could be fatiguing. Great. And then again, think about the big toe side, it's rolling in and down. The pinky edge is rolling up so that we're stretching and lengthening through this lateral edge. You might even feel a pull on the outer left knee like I'm feeling. Relax through your face, the back of your skull. Let your heavy, heavy 3 breaths. One more inhale, lengthening up to that pinky edge of your left foot. Exhale, relax, shake it out if you like. You can shake both feet or keep the right one down. And then that lazy figure 4, left ankle, foot, or shin onto right knee or thigh. Remember, you can walk the right foot further out, closer into the midline of the mat. Stay here, or feel free to lazily pull that right heel in and up a little bit. This is not about a shape whatsoever. So just finding a pretty easy stretch here, hopefully, to start. Great. One more nice full inhale. Exhale, slowly come out. Same thing as last time. You could take both legs up. You could take happy baby. You could drop your feet, stillness, or windshield wiper a little bit. Great. We're going to take a hip flexor reset. So we compressed them. Now we're going to work them, and then we'll stretch them here shortly. So we're going to lift our feet one at a time. So lift your right foot, let your right foot just hang. So I'm going to turn so my friends here can see me. Lifting my right foot, but I'm letting it hang. And then I'm going to lift my left foot and kind of let those heels drop. So no effort in the shins and the heels. Great. You're going to cup onto your knees as long as that feels like you can do that without reaching too far. Otherwise, you're just going to sort of be cupping or holding onto the left knee and right hands on the front of that right thigh in some capacity. I'm going to talk us through this. It's going to sound really weird, but essentially what you're doing is you're trying to pull your right thigh towards you and your left thigh away, but hopefully our hands are keeping us. All right. So the right hip flexor is pulling towards us, and that left leg is just pulling away. It's making the brain work in 2 different ways. So that's a good thing too. So you might need a second to start. So think about right hip flexor, your right groin area. Tone in a little bit there and start pulling your thigh into your hand, and your hand's going to stop you. So we're not going to move anywhere. So from the outside, if I was watching you, you probably wouldn't see anything. And then start drawing your left leg away. So maybe you're cupping your knee or you're reaching around the side, left leg's pulling away, right one is pulling in. Not so much that it's 100% of your effort. I want the back of the neck relaxed. I want you to be able to keep breathing. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Keep doing it for 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale, find resistance. Exhale, soften. You can release the bind, maybe rock those knees side to side. We get to do that 2 more times. First couple rounds, I talk a lot because I'm trying to make sure that you're going in the right direction. And then I'll be a little bit less chatty. Right hand on that right knee or thigh, left one cupping the knee, right thigh is coming towards us, left leg is drawing away. Not 100% effort. Try to use that hip flexor. So visualize that right groin area working, drawing the left leg away, relax through the back of the head. Breathe while you do this. Not 100%, but we're definitely working for 5, 4, 3, 2. One more big inhale. Exhale, relax. Put your feet down this time, arms out to a T, windshield wiper side to side. Great, so we compressed, we worked it, now we're gonna stretch it. We'll find one of our blocks. We'll come into bridge prep, knees bent, feet down, lift those hips inside that block on the lowest shelf of the block. So hopefully it's the most supportive. You can always use 2, especially if this doesn't feel supportive enough. And then when you're ready, you're just gonna slide that right leg all the way out. When we take the leg out, it usually has the glute fire, which is actually a good thing. But once we let the leg out, relax your foot, try to let your right glute soften. So notice if you can do that or visualize it. Soften through that hip flexor and then try to breathe and down to your low belly. Relax through your right thigh. Notice if you're locking out your knee. Couple options. Stay exactly where you are, especially if you're feeling a subtle stretch where we're referring to that right groin area. You could also toe heel your left foot out wider and then just let the leg drop out. It usually has some compression in the outer hip. That might create a bigger angle of a pull, or walk back to more center and then that left leg comes in. Some people like to dump the pelvic bowl backwards. It sort of lifts your pubic bone and then it invites a little bit of lift and draw in the right hip flexor. You do not have to do any one of those things. It's not about a progression to get anywhere either. If you are feeling a stretch sensation, that is enough. Couple things I'll just remind us of. Let the back of your head be heavy. Let the skin around the base of your skull be relaxed. Relax your bottom jaw away from the top. Soften the features of your face. Breathe down to your low belly. Try to relax your right glute, your right thigh. We'll take 6 more inhales, 6 more exhales. Think about your low belly expanding like a balloon as you breathe in, deflating as you breathe out. Great. 2 more times. Let's relax your face. Great. Next time you exhale, if your left foot is up or you walked it out wide, allow it to come back down. When your left foot feels planted and rooted, push through your left heel to drag the right one in. Push through both heels, lift your hips, slide that block out, and peel on down. Stillness, slide your legs out, constructive rest. Give yourself a handful of breaths. Great, we're going to do that sort of hip reset on the other side. So knees bent, feet down. We're going to lift the left leg first, followed by the right. Again, shin bones and feet relax. So if you got really active legs, drop them. Left thigh, left hip flexor is going to be drawing towards you, but it's probably going to stay in the same position. Right one's drawing away. So you set your hand position. I like to cup my right knee. It doesn't matter how close really that right leg is to you. Otherwise, you can reach around maybe or reach underneath on the hamstring if that's easier. But left hand is either sort of palm on that thigh or cupping the knee if that's easier too. But let's start with a left thigh hugging in. Visualize that hip flexor. Maybe pull your navel to your spine a little bit. And then draw your right one away. Pull the left one in. Draw the right one away. Breathe, not 100% effort. Left leg towards you, right leg away. Try to use that groin hip flexor area. Relax your feet. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale. Exhale, release. You could drop your feet. You could draw your knees in and release. You could windshield wiper or pause. Great job. Let's do that one more time. Oh, wait, we did 3 rounds, didn't we? Do you guys right, but on the other round side. That's what I we're supposed to do 3. I'm like, wait a minute. All right, thanks, ladies. Okay, legs back up. Left hand on your left leg so that you're pulling towards you. So keep it from moving. Right leg, hold it as you try to pull away. So create that shape. Left leg in, right leg out. Relax your face. Try not to tense out your jaw and shoulders. Breathe, breathe, breathe. 5, 4, 3. Keep breathing. 2. One more inhale. Exhale, release. Soften for a moment. Great. Last round. Thanks for the reminder. 3 rounds. That's what we're supposed to do. Left thigh's hugging in, right one's drawing away. You decide the hand position. Shoulders, jaw, back of the head. Try to relax as much as possible. Try to use that hip flexor. Breathe. Use your breath. Start, if you haven't already, pull that left leg in. Not 100%. Relax from the shoulders, the base of the skull. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2. One more inhale. Exhale, relax, relax. Great. Arms out to a T, palms up, windshield wiper. Great. Finding bridge prep when you're ready. Knees pointing up, feet about hip width distance. Drive through your heels, lift your hips, slide that block on the lowest height again. One more time underneath those hips and sacrums. So if it's in the sway of your lower back, you want it a little bit lower. And then when you feel supported, you'll slide that left leg out. Again, give that left glute a little mindfulness, try to relax it, let the foot drop out however it does. Notice the side. Hips usually are quite different from side to side. If you're feeling any kind of stretch sensation on that left groin area, lower left belly, just hang out here. Option to toe feel the right foot out wider and let the leg drop out. It usually doesn't move very far. Or walk it back to center and draw that thigh, and whether you grab it or not is up to you. If you lift the leg, you can consider dumping the pelvic ball back. Not everybody likes that. Let the back body be heavy and supported. Try to invite ease and breath into the front body. Maybe just visualizing it, filling out that left side a little bit more than not. Relax your glute on that left side. Relax your thigh. Notice if your knee's kind of locked out. Relax your face and take 3 more deep, low belly breaths. Great. Slowly releasing the right leg if it's being held. Right foot comes down. If you walked it out wider, walk it a little bit closer. When you feel ready, push through the right heel to drag the left one in. Push through both heels, lift your hips, slide that block out, and peel on down. You can straighten your legs up to the sky, out the length of your mat. You could hug them into your chest. Give yourself a few breaths. Again, this idea of consider your whole body. Maybe your arms do something. Maybe give yourself a hug. Maybe reach over your head or out wide. So the next thing we do is we're going to be compressing in sort of an awkward place on our hips. We're going to use both balls. So if you think about the center of your glutes, we're going to go up and in. So medial means towards the midline, but we're going to go up and in. And the most squishy sort of glute, or what you would think of as your butt muscles, before we get to the bones around the SI joint. So if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, you're just going to either place the ball one at a time, center of your glute, go up and in at a diagonal, but stay on the glute. You'll feel as soon as you jump onto the sacrum that you're like really superficial on a bone. But we're going to use both at the same time. So the most upper inner, you're going to be nuzzling into that border of the sacrum. I just don't want to be fully on it. Not that you're going to do anything wrong. We just don't want to be, we're trying to get those fibers that are attaching to it really. So that'll be nice just to kind of nuzzle into it. Do whatever you'd like with your arms. I really like to have my knees bent because especially when I first start, everything's crazy tight here. So it just feels like I'm on a lot of dense tissues. If you want to move a little bit, you can move a little bit, but don't do really dramatic movements here. We want to just over time, we're going to be here about 2 minutes. The goal, or quote unquote, the hope would be, fingers crossed, that these tissues can like soften and lighten up a little bit. So the goal could just be this idea of loosening your grip or having the tissues loosen their grip. So if you can soften as much as possible. If you want to play around with foot position, feel free to, especially if it's uncomfortable or you feel like it could be more helpful in a different area. If you feel like you're really close to an area that feels like it's being pulled, maybe visualize like a trampoline, like you just want to roll or move a little bit, feel free to. You can explore that. But again, the main tool that we're using right now is compression. So just sort of weight-bearing compression on the balls versus like a big rolling technique. Okay, we're about halfway through. Let's try to take some full inhales and some big complete exhales. Notice if any tension has crept into your body elsewhere. So notice your fists, your feet, your face, your belly. Let the back of the head be supportive. We'll take 6 more deep breaths. Great. One more. Biggest breath of your day. Full inhale, full exhale. And then however it would feel the most helpful or easy or available way to get off of the ball. So if you're going to lean to one side, just make sure that you don't push deeper and harder on that side. Maybe it's even slowly lifting the pressure and then lifting your hips, grabbing both balls and peeling out. But I'd like you to do whatever you like after you move the balls. So you might want to straighten out. I kind of have an achy, warm water feeling down there now. If you try to take, oh, you're fine. Knees in, maybe happy baby. Those tissues might be affected. We're going to hit one more spot in our glutes before we roll over, and then we're going to do a little bit of spine stuff. So we're not going to do anything much different. We're just going to be placing the balls in a different spot. So we sort of started at the center of the glute and went up and in at an angle. And then this time we're going to kind of go out and away at an angle. So the goal is, quote unquote, again, we're kind of going to be nuzzling the balls into the greater trochanter. So if you think about your hips as a ball and socket, we're going to be placing the balls at the center of the glutes, and we're going to kind of go out and up just a little bit. You can do one at a time or both, but I'm going to keep my feet about hip width distance, and then I'm going to start to toe heel my feet out wide, and then I'm just going to let my knees drop out. Like at some point when I start toe heeling my feet out, I can feel that I'm not going to go anymore and the ball's going to support me, and then I just drop out to the pinky edges of my feet. Now, the left one feels like I could move it a little bit into a better spot, so I'm going to do that. But you're sort of in like a half squatting on your back, half butterfly pose, and the balls are sort of nuzzling into the back posterior of that ball and socket. Consider your whole body. If this feels like it's too much, you could put blocks underneath your thighs or knees to cut down on some of that intense pressure if it feels like it's too much where the ball is. I want you to notice the inseam of your thighs. I noticed my right one was firing a lot. I'm going to try to soften there. Maybe get more of a stretch. I'm going to try to tap into this moment, and what I can control is my breath. So I'm going to try to smoothen out, even out my breathing. Notice if any spot is gripping with tension. Do your best to loosen that grip. It's usually specifically where the ball is or where you're working or somewhere completely obscure. It might be your go-to place for tension regardless. Great, let's take 6 more deep breaths. Great, one more time when you're ready. A nice full, smooth inhale. Complete, smooth exhale. If this feels a lot on the inseam of your legs or just where the balls are, feel free to put your hands in the outer portion of your thighs to help out with some of that weight. We're just slowly going to lift our legs. Feel free to toe heel your feet. so that they can come to the bottoms more effectively. You could push through your heels and lift up, or maybe rock your knees a little bit to one side, grab the ball, followed by the other. Stillness or some movement to start, but be curious about how it feels in those hips. Hopefully a lot looser, maybe more open. So I'm going to let you do whatever you like for about 10 to 15 breaths, or I'm going to invite a simple stretch. It doesn't always feel great in everybody's body. So if you would like, knees bent, feet down, walk them all the way together. Right leg lazily crosses over the left, and then it's like it's pulling your left leg over to the right. So that's going to stretch just where we were sort of compressing, probably both spots actually. If that feels okay to you, cool, stick with it. Otherwise, ditch it, especially if it doesn't. It's like you're drawing that left knee up and towards the top right edge of your corner. Take 2 more breaths. If you're in that sort of modified twist with the leg over, uncross it first in the side, and then lift the left leg followed by the right. Stillness or a little bit of movement. And if you took that on the other side, try it on the other, but know that, again, we have side-to-side differences and preferences. If you have any discomfort, especially that SI joint, ditch it. Left leg crosses over lazily, and then it's like it draws the right leg over to the left and then kind of forward. Arms out to a T maybe. Breathe. Great, one more big breath in. As you exhale, uncross that left leg first, then start the movement with the right leg followed by the left. Great, we'll go ahead and roll over onto our bellies. Feel free to stay in the position you're in, or if you'd like to be looking at me, you can change directions on your mat. We're only going to need one of our balls. We're going to roll the iliacus on one side, then the other side. We're going to come up, do some spinal stuff, and end in a seat, if that's okay. So the iliacus, I think we did this a few weeks ago. We have this big like pelvic bowl. It's sort of awkward. The front hip bones, some people's are really superficial, some people's are really deep. So don't overthink it, but we're trying to find sort of a knobby prominence in some capacity in the front. A lot of times a good way to find it is if you kind of found something bony and then when you went down, it sort of disappears. So that's probably the good spot. So what I like to do is take the ball onto that and then drop into the more squishy inside, the medial. So lateral would be out. We want to be on that squishy inside. And I apologize if you can hear these. We're going to be doing this from our bellies. So I'm going to do that. I like to start in space pose, which means sort of forearms down. I'm going to lean a little bit to the left, so I kind of bend my right knee. I find that hip point. I'll turn this way so you guys can. I'll find that hip point, and then I'll drop in, and then I'm going to kind of lower onto it, and then I'm going to sort of move my body around until I feel like I'm sort of wedging into that inner border of that bone. So we're sort of seeking here. So we have that psoas that we were working with. It connects with this other group of muscles called the iliacus. So technically the muscle group is called the iliopsoas because it's 2 big muscles that come together as one. So you can stay up high. You could lower all the way down. If you're seeking more sensation, if you're not sure it's enough or you just want to see more sensation, right? It doesn't mean that it's better. You could lean a touch to the left and hike this right knee sort of up and out. Again, I'm going to do that on the other side just so you guys can see what I'm doing. You don't have to do this part. This would be like the most intense. What this does essentially is it rotates our pelvic bowl so that it really wedges it in. So that's the point of that leg out to the side. Anything on that front area is honestly going to be good because it's a huge muscle group. We don't want the bone. We want to be just inside the bone, right on the muscle. Yeah. And then really, some people are like, I don't feel this a ton, and that's okay too. Just having that compression of the ball and being able to softly breathe down at that area is going to be great. Mine is crazy tight on the right side, which is where I am. And so I tend to squeeze my butt cheek the whole time. So that's my practice, is that I'm just trying to relax and close my eyes and breathe and try to relax the backside, because I'm sort of like engaging and trying to hold me up. So again, you can stay upright. You can feel free to lower down. Maybe over time, some of those tissues soften and it maybe feels like it kind of sinks in deeper. It's not necessarily the goal, but it might be nice that some of those tissues are softening. Also, we're on the torso, which means that the breath is going to affect it, right? If you try not to pin the navel back and breathe like we do in like a really moving class, and let that belly expand as you breathe in. What does that feel like as you put more pressure on it? And then as you breathe all the way out and the belly sort of releases from it, does it sink deeper? And then what does that feel like? Okay, we'll take about 10 more breaths. Just be curious about your breath. Don't overthink what it does or doesn't feel like. Great, 3 more deep breaths. Great, last breath here. If you took that left leg out to the side, you'll slowly, mindfully move and draw it a little bit more in. However it makes sense to you, you're going to roll a bit to the left to find the ball and slowly remove it. Option just to lower down. You could bend your knee and windshield wiper. If you'd like to get a little bit of a pec stretch, feel free to take your right arm out to a T or cactus and drop down to your right cheek. And just pause here for about 10 breaths before we head to the other side. Lots of options, though. Take one more deep breath wherever you are. And we'll start the journey. Maybe back up to your forearms, only if it feels available. And then we'll find the other side. So again, finding a little bit of a bony prominence, possibly on the front portion of your hip. Remember, we don't want to be on the bone itself. We want to be just inside more of a squishy, muscular area. If you'd like, you can wiggle that right leg out. Again, it just sort of shifts the pelvic bowl so that you're resting the ball a little bit more on the inner border. If you visualize a bowl and then you put the ball just inside the lip of the bowl, if the bowl is kind of facing forward and slightly down, that's kind of what we're doing. Stay high, lower down, adjust the ball up and down a little bit, take a few deep breaths. Remember to let that low belly expand, try not to pin the navel back at all. Notice your back body. Notice if you're tensing your glutes, your face, your jaw. Big, deep, expansive inhales. What does that feel like? Big, complete exhales. What does that feel like? Great. 3 more breaths. And then if that opposite leg went out at all, remember to draw it in first. If your knees are bent, extend them, rolling a bit to the opposite side to find the ball and remove it. Stillness, windshield wiper those knees. If you took that pec stretch, maybe start your way there. Left arm kind of to a cactus, left cheek down. Take a handful more breaths. Great, and then when you feel ready, we'll slide our hands underneath our chest and we're going to be pressing up to a tabletop. We don't need the balls anymore, so if they roll away, don't worry about it. But take your time pressing yourself up. If your knees need extra padding, walk near the back of the mat and you can double down the mat, put your knees on them. You could stretch through your feet by curling the toes or be on the tops of your feet, just kind of relaxed. Let's move through some cat-cows. Maybe linger in your cows, which is what we call extension of the spine. So when the belly's down, so we open the front body, the back body's kind of compressing towards one another. It might pull a little bit on that area we were just compressing. And then find a really slow transition to a cat. Drop the weight of your head, pause here, or you could just gently rock a little bit forward and a little bit back into the palms. All right, and then continue that sort of inhaling to cow. Feel free to stay here with your breath or immediately exhale and head into a cat. Great, we'll take just a few more rounds or a few more breaths in both. Great, and then so like making your way to a seat and have both of your blocks nearby. So we're going to attempt to do some myofascial work with a block and then support ourselves with the other block. If this doesn't feel good, we're just going to ditch it, okay? But it's just something that can work. Also, you can do this at your house or we could change it up next week and try it if it doesn't work well with a blanket. Same concept, but we're going to try to use the edge of our block on the second height. So we have the lowest, medium, highest, medium height. Block is going to go behind you. And essentially, I want that somewhere on my rib cage, somewhere on the thoracic spine is what that's considered. So I'm going to be taking my spine to that edge of it. This block's going to be in my hands behind my head, fully supporting my neck, hopefully. So how I'm going to do that, I'll turn so that the camera can see a little bit easier done. I'm just going to kind of scoot up. I'm going to slowly lower myself down until I feel like it's right around my shoulder blades, right at the bottom of my shoulder blades. The edge of the block is there. All right, and then I have my other block. I'm going to hold it behind my head, and I'm just going to try to drop as much weight into the block in my hands and onto the block. And then from here, you can kind of lift and lower a little bit, extend and flex your spine like we just did in cat-cow. You could just pause, especially if that's intense. So for camera people, Dawn, just do the best you can. You can always just roll up a blanket, a really tight blanket or a towel, and then do the same thing, lowering all the way down onto your back. But let's try it with a block to start. You'll lower yourself so that you're on the edge of the block, and then the other block comes behind your head. You can stay here in stillness. Again, maybe this idea of like allowing your head to be super heavy is what we're not used to, right? We tend to hold our necks in weird gravity space all day long, call that tech neck. So this might be some effort by just focusing on that. You could lift and lower. It's like you're doing crunches, but it's really not for the effect of doing crunches. It's for the effect of getting mobility in the thoracic spine, which has the least amount of movement in it, but for a good reason. It's protecting the heart and the lungs. So if this is brutal, you can come out whenever you're ready. Otherwise, just play around with it a little bit. Maybe you sort of rock a little bit side to side or find a little twisting motion. See if that gets any crunchy bits. Does it move? We'll just mess around with it for like another minute at most. And then the fun part's coming out of it, right? So a couple options. Option one, engage your front body. Lift your head off the block. You can take the block on the highest height, put it behind you, and then support the back of your head for a moment. And then you can just try to chill out a little bit in the shape. Or option two, ditching the block and then putting your hands down and pressing yourselves up. But if you're coming to this heart opener and this seems a little bit more supportive than the holding your own head up, wherever you are, let's take about 6 to 8 more breaths. Great. So if you're on that sort of what we call heart bench with the 2 blocks underneath you or 2 props underneath you, I want you to visualize the front body, the front abdominals. Try to engage your front body instead of just flopping off or yanking yourself up. Try to bend your elbows, pull your forearms in, push through one side that feels available, lean a bit to the other side, and then try to get to that other hand and forearm, and come on up. If you want to roll all the way to the side, feel free. We're going to come up to a seat of your choice. So that could be crisscross applesauce. Some people like to sit on their heels. If you sit on your heels, but it's just a little too intense, we have 2 blocks. You can always lift your hips up a little bit higher if you have a blanket or whatever at home. You can also put props underneath your thighs or your knees just to make it feel like it's more supportive. Sit up tall, roll your shoulders up, back and away. We're going to do this about 6 times with our breath. Try to let those shoulder blades move with the arm bones. Great. At least one more time. Inhaling when you're ready, roll them up. Exhale back and down. Sit up as tall as you can. Try to be mindful if you're hinging forward a lot or taking your chin forwards. Try to tuck your chin a little bit. Take your shoulders over your ears and then your shoulders over your hips. Sorry, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Soften the front belly. Let the spine be strong and supportive in the back. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to take our arms down by our side. And we're going to inhale when you're ready, take them out and up. Exhale out and down. We'll do this 2 more times. Just move with your own breath cadence. Great, one more time, just like that. And then this time we're going to inhale, take them up, and as you exhale, just take them to a T. And we're going to find really slow motion rotation of the spine. So we're going to try not to hinge and arch and all that stuff. We're just going to bring it out like a dish rag. So as soon as you get tension and you feel like you start leaning or arching, just bounce right back to center and take it to the other side. Fingers and wrists can be kind of relaxed here. Face is relaxed. Just be mindful of which side feels maybe easier, more accessible. Great. Next time you head to the left, we're going to pause here. Left hand's going to slide to your lower back. Right hand's going to grab onto either your left knee, your thigh, or it can kind of come up and over towards that left side rib cage, sort of where your bra strap would be. Great. Sit up tall, roll your shoulders up, back and away. If you went into a big back bend in your lower back, like I did, draw your tailbone down a little bit and your front body towards one another. Tuck your chin, relax your face. The twist itself should be subtle. Keep everything from the neck down the same, but roll your gaze forward. Allow your right ear to slowly draw down by your right shoulder. Kind of let it just slowly fade. Drop your bottom jaw away from the top. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Okay, and then tuck your chin a little bit, start to roll and lift through the back of the head. We're going to reach our right arm out and away to the left, and then unwind that left arm behind your back. Take it out and over top the right. And then we'll take eagle arms. So if that feels good, you can just give yourself a hug. If you want, technically eagle arms is the hands kind of come together and fingers point out. And it doesn't feel good in my body. It's nice. I'm just going to give myself a hug. Stay here or find those subtle cat-cows in the back, extending and flexing through the spine. Okay, come back to more of a neutral shape. Unwind those arms, take out to a T. Palms are going to roll up. Pinkies are forward, thumbs are back. We're going to try to keep that body engaged, not moving the spine at all. We're just going to try to move the arm bones and the shoulder blades. Maybe even tuck your chin and let your forehead drop forward, but hug your shoulder blades like they're squeezing the back body towards one another, towards the spine. Arms go back. Try not to open through the chest. Hug the front ribs together. Tuck your chin and take 2 more breaths. All right, one more big inhale. Exhale, arms into your lap. Neutral head position if it was chin to chest. If this is the most comfortable position you're in, you can stay. If you'd like, you can flip-flop your ankles. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe roll the shoulders up, back and away with your breath a couple times. Feel free to use your props or adjust. Arms by your side. A couple times, inhale, arms out and up with your breath. Great. Then the next time you head up, exhale them out to a T. And then just a couple rounds of slowly twisting from side to side. Remember, relax fingers and wrists. As soon as you get feedback, just head back to center and to the other side. Great. This time when you head to the right, that's where we'll pause. Right hand slides to your lower back. Roll that shoulder up, back, and away. Left hand onto something on the right leg or that side right rib cage sort of underneath the hollow of your armpit. Sit up tall. Subtle twist, more about a chest opener here. Gaze is wherever you'd like for a few breaths. And then keep your shape, but take your gaze forward and then allow the left ear to slowly, try not to yank it, just drop down towards the left shoulder. And then let your bottom jaw drop away from the top. Take 3 deep breaths. Great. Roll your chin in slightly to lift through the back crown of the head. Left arm's going to release its spine and kind of just keep reaching out into the right. Right arm heads out to the right, up and over to the left, crisscrossing on top of the left. Again, just give yourself a hug here, or you can bind and take those fingers up to the sky. Stillness or some movements. You could also play around with this side, maybe lifting the arms a little bit more versus the spine. Just seeing that range of motion with the arms, what we call adducting across the body. Or maybe it's a little both. Maybe you invite some cat-cows. Don't overthink it. Almost done here with the movement. Great. More of a neutral shape. Set up nice and tall through the background. Open up those arms to a T. Roll your palms up. Pinkies forward, thumbs back. Again, engage this front line. So front ribs draw together, neutral spine. Just visualize the shoulder blades hugging towards one another in the back. The arms might not move, but energetically, you're opening through that front body. Tuck your chin, let your forehead drop heavy. It might not move as well. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Great. One more big inhale. Expand that front body. Exhale, soften and drop those arms wherever you like. Head more neutral. Scan your body. Notice if this shape is helpful. If you'd like to just stay in a seated meditation, you could come up to the wall. You could just unwind and roll all the way back to your back. You could take your legs up the wall. You could use the props for any shape you want. A supportive Shavasana on your back with just 2 blocks, since that's kind of all we're working with in studio, is just putting them underneath your calves in a way that allows your knees to be relaxed. That can be kind of nice. It could also be wedged sort of underneath your sit bones, underneath your thigh. But detaching from the practice itself, letting go of whatever it was supposed to look like for you. Slowly drawing your awareness back to your mat, back to the sensation within your body in this moment. Again, whatever idea or expectation you might have had of your practice or yourself this evening, just simply trying to detach and let that go. And absorbing the practice for what it was, for all the effort that you gave. Knowing that it was enough. When you feel ready, feel free to stay exactly where you are for as long as you'd like, or if you'd like to start coming out of your shape, take your time, move nice and slow. But staying in your shape or starting a transition to a seat, again, there's no right or wrong. Thanking yourself for showing up, for doing the best you could in this moment. I thank you. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Thanks so much for joining. Have a wonderful evening. Namaste. Take your time.